What are these days like, Shaun? You're saying bye to people that you've become close with.
It's emotional. There's two sides. There's the disappointment, but also the grateful side that it's we're graduating a lot of players. It's been an honor and a pleasure to kind of be a part of their development. We met as a whole group, and just for the guys moving on, they did such a good job the last few years representing Kamloops, the organization, on the ice, in the community. We went through some tough times with the COVID stuff, and just kept growing and working and battling through that. So, so just with those guys, it'll be a lot of fun to watch them. To watch them as they move on with their life on the ice and off the ice. And then with the returning group, it's learn from the guys that were there, that are graduating. Have a great summer. We've talked to guys, given some examples of former players that have just really made huge strides in the off season and to push yourself. I think that the hockey world is expecting us to kind of fall off the map, and we have the mindset we're just not going to do it. We had a whole bunch of young players that were able to go through this experience with us, to practice with us, to watch. I think they learned a lot. So there's some questions there, and they recognize some things that are going to be really important moving forward, and then who's the next guy up? Who's the next guy? Then every year there's players that surprise people that come in and accept and are able to take on bigger roles, and we just want to keep going.
How are you doing? You were under immense pressure this season. You took on a lot of responsibility. A lot of eyes were on you. How are you doing, and how are you reflecting on how things went this season?
It was a few years ago. I learned some things, and I don't know. I think I got a lot better at handling the pressures and the challenges of coaching and managing at this level. Some of it's experience. Some of it is mental health, and I think you have to put a lot into it, and you have to believe that you're doing absolutely the best you can. And if you do that, there's some peace of mind, So from a coaching standpoint, the mindset is you get up in the morning and you work. You assess things. You have leadership group meetings. You have one-on-one meetings. You have meetings with the staff. You put a practice plan together. You get the video ready, and you have a vision of how you want the team to play, and you just work at it. You just work at it. You work at it. And if you do that, you can feel satisfied, peace of mind at the end of the day. So. There's a tough game. You got to regroup. You got to reorganize. You got to assess it and push to get better. And I think we did that. I think we did that all season long. We have an unbelievable staff. I've worked in this game, in this league, for a long time. This is the best staff that I've had the privilege of working with. So that helps when you got a great staff that cares and works. Excuse me. That's very helpful. From the management side, we knew we had a good core. We knew that coming into the season, there's just an obligation. There's just, you have to go after it when you're hosting. So again, as a group, Robbie Sandland, especially Tim O'Donovan, you just assess everything. Where do we need to be better? We believed that we needed to be a little bit harder. We had good skill element. We had to address that early on, so we wanted to be a little bigger and a little harder, and so you do the absolute best you can. You who's available, who's not available, what do we have to pay, what do we have for assets, and we've got to really go after this. So, I mean, even some of the early acquisitions with Van Olm and Demick and Furster, you know, we felt really good about addressing that element. At the deadline, there's only so many players left available. There's only so many assets that you have, and you know, I think that Hofer and Zellweger were unbelievable for us. They came in and assimilated into the team. The players welcomed them. They did their part with, you know, joining the group, and we really went after it. So it's challenging when you fall short, but I think we feel really good about the things that we did. I think that first period against Peterborough was maybe the best period of hockey we've played. I thought everything came together, and we, you know, we went after it. So that's the mindset coming into the year. As a coach, you're going to go after it and keep improving. And then from the management side of things, we have to go after it, and we went after it.
On the management side, anything you would have done differently looking back now?
Not right now. I mean, I think there's some time to really dive into it and look at it. I think we talked about this earlier. You know, maybe, you know, with the way it worked, and I don't know if it's continuing to work with that like that, but in the past, you knew that the teams that hosted knew a little bit earlier. You knew that the previous year. You know, we found out, I think it was announced in the Seattle series last year that we were hosting. So you have a thought, you know, you're bidding on it. You know, so that may have helped. Going into the season, we didn't have the depth in the age groups that you could trade. You know, you can't trade signed 15 and 16-year-olds. We have, in today's world, and it makes sense, you have signed 17-year-olds and they have no trades. And that's good. You know, we couldn't trade Ryan Michael if he didn't want to be traded. We couldn't trade Emmett Finney. We couldn't trade Harrison Bruna. Couldn't trade Ashton Tate. Those are all players that teams want. And I think in some situations, if you have an abundance of those players, if you have too many of those players in a normal year, there's players that aren't playing, or maybe they're in another lineup, and you could have made an extra move possible. But that's the only thing, and it would, you know, the only way to potentially address that was, you know, possibly try to in the last off season, accumulate some more of those players. That's not easy to do. You know, it's just not easy to do, because teams want 17-year-olds. I mean, that's the future of an organization. So we'll spend some time and look at it. But overall, I think the organization feels really good about, you know, making a decision or accepting the fact that we're going to have to make some big moves and spend what people are going to consider as too much, but we went after it. We went for it.
Sorry, are you under contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
From a culture perspective, Shaun, you know, was there something that you could put your finger on that made this team special?
You know, we asked the players, and I, you know, from year one here, when we have our exit meetings, we asked the players what they enjoyed the most about the season. And it's a little bit cliche, but just about everybody says, I just enjoyed coming to the rink. I enjoyed the group. I felt welcome here from day one. That was something in the very first year when I came here that I recognized. It was the most important thing. There was two things, and one was establishing the leadership group and really working on that. There's a teaching element to that. Bob Wilkie is our mental performance coach. He does a lot of stuff on leadership. So we reached out to all the players. I had phone calls with all the players and identified them. Who are going to be the leaders of this team. So then we started working on that. It was a smaller group at first. It was Franklin and Stewart. Those were the two guys that everybody mentioned, and then Connor Zeri. Connor Zeri was a younger player that the younger group really looked up to, and so we started with those three guys, and then built the group, added some players around it, and wanted to create a culture where the players had a voice, that we could talk and communicate openly about the team, about things we felt were important, what we wanted to address, what we wanted to build here together. And so at the end of that season, when you talk to the players and the young guys all mention, I felt so welcome here, and I felt that the older guys, I was nervous about it, but the older guys were great. I think that's what you want as a team, as an organization. You want the culture to be one, based on acceptance, improvement, kind of that drive to just keep finding ways to get better. And I think that you pass that on, and then you can talk to the younger players and say, okay, so you felt accepted, you felt welcomed and supported by the older group. Now it's your turn, to pass that on. And I think that allows that's allowed our team to keep going, and we're going to rely on that a lot next year. Where that togetherness, that team effort, that support can get you through some tougher situations.
Last one for me. Dylan Ernst was put into a tough situation. How do you think he's developed through all this?
Yeah, I think he did a great job. I think his development was sort of sped up, or he had to, and he went from clearly being a number two guy behind a exceptional person, exceptional goaltender in Dylan Grant, to okay, now it's your turn to see if you can do this. I think he earned the opportunity to be the guy. I think there were very limited number of goaltenders potentially available at any time, and when you looked at the body of work, the numbers, the goals against, the wins, the save percentage, I mean, he was clearly the guy out of the group, and he earned the right to be our guy. Yeah.
You gonna take some time to unwind? I mean, how long before you, start preparing for next season?
Yeah, it doesn't really end, right? So you try to find some days, enjoy the days, spend a little bit of time, go on a trip or something, a short trip with the family. But we've got a new group of players that we just drafted. We got to get signed, so we're in that process. There's the import draft coming up. So there's a lot of time spent on that. There's prepping and planning for next year. And then being involved this late, it goes pretty quick.
This is a tough day, having to pack up the bags, and probably be the last time I'm ever in the Blazers dressing room, or for a long time anyways, and having my jersey hanging there and not seeing these guys for a long time, it's a weird feeling. But we got social media, we got each other's numbers, we'll stay in touch, but it's not going to be the same as seeing them every day. Yeah, we're brothers in there. and endless stories where we'd go battle for each other. We stuck up for each other, just there for each other, even away from the ice. Every guy in there I trust with all my heart, and it's difficult doing this part. Just for one story, I don't know if on the spot if I can come up with one, but there's countless, just endless laughs we had in there. A lot of sewer ball. The sewer ball, there's a lot of good stories, good or bad, depends how you look at it, but there was a lot of stories there playing sewer ball.
Shane Doan was in town. You're obviously close with him. Have you had a chance to talk with him and maybe get some advice or counsel from him at all?
Yeah, I saw him after the game, and it was more of a hug and I'm proud of you, and it's pretty special. Josh was here too, and to be able to see those guys right after was good. They've been a big part of my career.
You got a wedding this summer?
Got a wedding this summer, yeah. That's coming up in the end of the month here soon, so it's exciting.
It's your sister's wedding, right?
Sister's wedding, yeah.
Are you in the wedding?
I'm in the wedding. I'm a bridesman, she calls it, so I'm in my sister's wedding party.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
What are you wearing? I know you weren't thrilled at first with some of the get up, but
she's been giving it to me about not being thrilled about it, but I think I got a bow tie. Everybody else has got shirt and tie, and I think I'm wearing a bow tie, so it'll be good.
Are you the only guy in the first side of it then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No.
First wedding party for you?
First wedding party, yeah.
Where is it? Where's the wedding?
It's at our lake place we live out at Buffalo Lake, so they're having it on the beach here.
And you like the guy she's marrying?
He's the best, yeah, it's a nice guy, yeah. I think a lot of it now is the training. It's a big part of the game now, so I gotta make sure I'm doing my part and then some, with the eating, in the gym, skating, just making sure I'm ready to go to camp.
Okay. Thanks, Daylan.
Thanks for
see you
everything,
again,
guys.
man. It's been good dealing with you. We deal with a bigger picture. I want to ask you about the other night. It seemed like it happened so fast. Next thing you know, you're in a fight. Just take me through the whole situation.
Yeah, so I saw Semmer get hit in the middle of the ice, and I didn't exactly see who hit him, and I kind of skated over to who I thought hit him, and it turned out it was him, and kind of felt like his gloves were off before mine, but I kind of felt I had to go. He took a dirty shot at Semi, so sometimes you get punched in the face, but it's all right. I'll survive.
Yeah. What are these days like? You don't know where you're going to be next year. You're going to hope to play pro hockey, but you might be back maybe. You're saying bye potentially to some great friends and teammates. So what are these days like?
Yeah, they're always tough. A little bit different situation this year, obviously. I don't really know where my path will exactly be, so saying bye to the 20s and some guys who I played with for a long time, so it's pretty bittersweet moment, obviously.
Had How do you reflect on this season, and how do you gauge the success of the season?
Yeah, I mean, team-wise, I thought we had a pretty successful year. We had a great regular season, and obviously came up pretty short in playoffs. But I thought we showed well when we were in there, and obviously in the Memorial Cup, it's four best teams in the country. So I thought we could have had a couple better games, but overall it was pretty successful for us.
If you look at a Quebec and a Seattle, do they have something that you don't? Were you guys missing something, do you think?
I'm not sure exactly. We tried to watch the games as best we can. We thought we matched up exactly or better than them. So not sure if there was anything. Maybe we just didn't play our best games against them, but I think that was the only reason.
Did you end up with any chipped teeth, or you're bruised, obviously, but what did you end up with?
Yeah, teeth are all good, so mom's happy, but a couple stitches, but that's all right.
Yeah, I was shocked that you got back to the penalty box, so kudos to you for getting back there. And do you think it could have been worse? I mean, because you landed them pretty square. You're bruised, but you didn't lose any teeth or anything, so do you think it could have been a bit worse? Yeah,
obviously could have been a bit worse, but I mean, I was actually pretty surprised I was bleeding because I couldn't feel it at first. I didn't feel that I got hit or anything, but once I started feeling around my mouth, I was bleeding pretty good, as you could probably guess. But other than I'm just happy that there's no teeth gone.
One more. If you do come back next year, it's going to be a different team. It's no longer kind of a super team. And how do you kind of switch your mindset to a different style of season potentially?
Yeah, I believe this team can still compete. I think we could still win the VC division and still make another long run in the playoffs and get back to the Memorial Cup again next year. I believe all the young guys have learned a lot from all the older guys leaving, and I still believe that we have the right guys in there to get it done.
A couple days now to kind of think about things. I mean, so how do you gauge the success of the season?
It's tough because you're looking at it like right now we just lost, so it seems like it's all a failure. But obviously we had a really successful season. A lot of guys grew as individuals, and I know myself learned a lot and got stronger as a player and a person and mentally. So it's probably going to take a bit more time to just kind of digest what the season overall looked like. But I'm proud of the effort everyone put in, and obviously didn't get the result we wanted. But yeah.
What do you think is the difference between a team like yours and Quebec and Seattle? Were you guys missing something?
No, it's hard to say. I think in single game elimination, it's tough. Maybe we play them a series. It's a little bit closer than the 2 games we showed out there. But they're really good teams. They're deep, and they play the structure the right way for full 60 every single game. So maybe there's times where we got away from that inconsistency and just like our structure, and I don't know if nerves maybe set in a little bit, whereas they would just play. We're a pretty old team though, so I don't really see that being a thing. I think at the end of the day we worked hard and we obviously tried our best, but yeah, I think it comes down to they were just maybe stuck with their structure a little bit longer.
What are these days like? You're saying bye to a lot of people. You're certain your future's up in the air kind of thing. What are these days like?
It's hard. Some of these guys you probably won't play with ever again. So it's a little bit emotional, but that's part of the game, I guess. And we've been through this last year and the year before, so you still stay in touch with all these guys. And nowadays you just call them and FaceTime them if you want to chat. So I'm sure I'll see these guys again off the ice and just throughout the summer maybe. And but yeah, it's tough to maybe let it sink in that might not play with some of these guys ever again.
With someone like you, your future is uncertain. You might be back here. You hope to play pro hockey, but if you are back here, it's going to be a very different team, a very different year. How do you kind of think about that? I mean, coming back here, it's not going to be a super team anymore,
Well, I think it doesn't really matter who we got on the team. The mindset's still going to be we got a chance to win every single night, and obviously coming back, I'd be a 20-year-old and a leader again on the team, and it starts with me and starts with the other guys that have been here for a few years. Just creating that culture again that we want to win. We don't expect to just come into games and half-ass it. I think we want to make sure that the energy in the room is really high all year, and practices are intense, and it starts at training camp. So like you said earlier, I don't really know exactly what's going to happen next year. I want to do my best at NHL camp, but yeah, no matter where I'm playing, it's going to just try to improve each day and set a good example for the young guys coming in.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Matthew. Cheers. One of the potentially few guys who are going to be back next year. But let's start with this past season. How do you gauge the success of the season?
I think we had a really successful season. I think we made the community proud, the city proud, and I think overall, I think we made everybody in the dressing room, all our staff and teammates pretty proud. So obviously we didn't have the outcome that we wanted, but I think altogether we had a really successful season. We learned lots. We overcame some obstacles, and it's really sad to see everybody, some of these older guys leave, but I think we're going to be a pretty fired up group for next year. Yeah,
this next year's team, like you said, there's going to be a ton of guys who are gone. It's probably going to be it's not going to be a super team anymore. So how do you kind of switch your mindset to dealing with a different outlook for the season?
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of great players leaving. But I still think we're going to have a few guys back who, can be leaders in the room and, really take charge. So whatever happens with next season, I think we're going to be all training really hard this summer. And, I think our goal is to be the best possible team we can, winning our championship. So I don't see why we couldn't do that. And, I think, if we're training all summer and all the young guys and, everybody steps up and some of the leaders take charge, I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty well the core group that we kind of started off together. So to be able to go with it with those guys for 4 years, we really worked hard to kind of put us in the position that we're in. Those guys got NHL contracts, show how hard they've worked, and it's a bit of a sad feeling that it's kind of coming to an end here.
What's next for you?
I'm still trying to figure out that plan, but probably youth sports will be where I end up, somewhere in school. So, just trying to figure that out here in the next couple weeks.
Now you've had a day or two to kind of mull things over. How do you gauge the season, the success of the season?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty successful. I mean, winning a championship in this league is very hard. We got the BC banner, and we've done that 4 years in a row. So, that's something to be proud about. We're talking about that with the guys. For that core group I was talking about, that's our fourth for us. So, it's a pretty special feeling. Obviously came up short in the end, but all in all, I think it's pretty successful.
When you look at teams like Quebec and Seattle, is there something they have that you guys didn't? Were you missing something, do you think?
I wouldn't say so. I think we had great belief in this group. You look at our roster, and we got the big star power that they do. Really, at the end of the day, it just came down to a couple mistakes. And when you're playing good teams like that, that's how it's going to be. Yeah, it's pretty special to be able to go to battle with those guys. Like you're saying, definitely a very special, tight group. From the young guys to the old guys, I think everybody was kind of best friends. There's no separation, which you see on the odd team between the old guys and the young guys. But and I think that helped us. I think that helped us every night. We were able to kind of play for each other, and we knew what we were going to get from each other.